So today we are going to get started on a book review. So early on this morning, yesterday I had the day off, so I went to reading Under the Dragon Moon. I finished it way early this morning, probably at like 12:30 this morning, so really early, and I wanted to give my thoughts on it. It's been a minute since I've done a book review, so forgive me if I do a little bit of hiccuping. So for those who don't know, or for those who haven't been here for a while, or I can't remember the last time I've done a book review other than for my friends' books. So I usually answer 3 questions other than, of course, the title, the page count, what dates I started and finished it, and the author and such. I answer 3 questions based on my personal opinion and how I felt about the book. So for starters, I had read Under the Dragon Moon by Moss Handlin. I will post a image right here and the author name right here. They go by they, them pronouns, so do be respectful of that. This book was a 5-star read for me. It was a personal recommendation by one of my work buddies. They have been giving me book recommendations a lot because he and I get along well when it comes to books. He and I have similar reading tastes. So I rated it a 5 stars because I had been filled with so many emotions at so many different points in time, and I also got the opportunity to see some artwork. I read this in an ebook format, so there was artwork, like it looks like fully commissioned artwork within the book. There are 3 or 4 pieces of artwork that I found, and each of them was super duper sweet, super well done, and it kind of got me attached to the characters a little bit more than if there wasn't any artwork. Usually the reason why I rate books 5 stars is usually if it can invoke some sort of like raw emotion out of me, like tears, happiness, or like a roller coaster of both of those. To where I'm happy one minute, sad the next, or like on the edge of my seat. And last night or early this morning, I quite literally was on the edge of my seat because I had 98 pages left and I was like, what is going on? And the plot twist that happened threw me for a loop. I had called 2 characters on suspicion, but it ended up being neither of them. Speaking of which, there is a summary I have to do. So, Under the Dragon Moon is actually I would say a fantasy mystery or fantasy thriller. I wouldn't say thriller, but fantasy mystery, kind of sort of like a whodunit-ish kind of. So my young one is trying to find a dragon egg for an 8-year-old warlock who is also the niece of Leonard Grayson. He goes by Leo. So Leo is basically the physical embodiment of sunshine, is how the author describes Leo every single time. Leo is in a punk rock band and has recently acquired guardianship of his 8-year-old niece, Remington Slythe. He obtains guardianship for Remington because his sister and his brother-in-law, Owen Slythe, and his sister Lorelei have both gotten murdered, and Remington's dragon egg, which is supposed to be her patron, has gotten stolen. With the theft of the dragon egg, Leo Grayson seeks out Miles' help. Miles is I don't know how old warlock, So he's able to help Remington a little bit with her abilities as an 8-year-old warlock, with her abilities coming to light a little bit more and more. Now, Leo is fully human, unfortunately. He is being protected by what is called guardian magic, which means someone's protectiveness has to be extremely strong in order for them to get chosen by Magic herself, which is a sentient being that controls many aspects of the world. With Leo being fully human, Mile takes it upon himself to teach him about the world of magic so that Leo can properly raise Remington in the ways of magic, of course. Mile and both Leo start off trying to have a professional relationship together. However, things slip off the deep end and both of them immediately start catching feelings. This book does have some trans representation as well as autism and synesthesia in different ways. Mile has the acute kind where he can see the magic in certain colors, and Remington can hear it in certain sounds. This book is also designed for adults, so do not think that a child under the age of 18 or not emotionally mature enough to handle this book can read it. So, it is definitely adult because of the graphic sexual content and the mention of drug abuse, drug use, and domestic abuse. Do with those trigger warnings as you see fit, but it is definitely made for adults because of the graphic sexual content that is in there. The artwork does not showcase any of the sexual content, so you don't have any jump scares. Trust me, I just recently finished, so the images are still kind of in my mind. All of them are very, very adorable. The last one is of Remington and one of Miles' friends, also known as the Kid. Now, the Kid is a fairy of some sort. They are of the seed, I believe. They are some kind of fairy. They are very much non-binary. They take names to try on for a little bit, and Mile actually explains that early on when Leo asks about it. Leo is an incredibly curious person. He constantly asks questions, which fuels Miles' autism quite well, and it's got this nice healthy back and forth where Mile can rant and ramble about all of the things that he's passionate about, and Leo gets to ask questions that he's curious about. Since I am done with my rambling, because I don't know where else to go with that, we are going to move on to the questions. Question 1. What was your favorite part and why? My favorite part of Under the Dragon Moon was when Mile and Leo had to go to the Silks Market, which is the magical equivalent of a black market, it's my favorite part because it showcased Miles' autism and synesthesia working in tandem with each other, kind of, in such a fluid way. It showcased it a little bit more than if he was just at the shop with Leo, or if he had gone with the Kid instead. It also allowed me to see the extent of Miles' magic and how Leo exactly helped with his autism, because as you know, autistic folks or people on the spectrum, they have some kind of overstimulation. With Mile, it is large crowds and so many different noises. Because of his synesthesia, he has to muffle some of the sounds so he doesn't get very overwhelmed by all of the things that are happening. So he brought Leo with him as an anchor, as a kind of anchor for him. something to focus on while he's trying not to be overstimulated while at the silks market. And while I know that the author is of the queer community with the they them pronouns, I am very happy that they have done their research and they showcased it in a very, very healthy way. Like, it wasn't stigmatized, it wasn't romanticized at all. It was just kind of touched upon whenever it was relevant, and it really seemed relevant when it came to the silks market, because a lot of us get, like myself, I am self-diagnosed, but a lot of us, we get overstimulated in large crowds. So I was very happy to see some kind of like good and proper representation with that. It really showed that the author had done their research and was able to showcase it in a way that wasn't stigmatized. Question number 2, were you satisfied with the ending? Absolutely. I was completely satisfied with the ending. Everything turned out fine. Everything seemed to happen in like a happily ever after, or at least a happy for now, since it wasn't technically a romance. It was just a mystery with a romantic subplot, but boy did the romance really put itself out there. Question number 3, did you find this book easy or hard to read? I actually found this book quite easy to read. Well, easy enough for adults to read. Like I said, I wouldn't let a young adult read this book because it is very graphic in certain things from Mael's and Leo's past, and as well as some sexual content, some very graphic sexual content, and it also features incubi and succubi. So please do keep that in mind when you go to pick up this book. And a special 4th question that I only do for certain books. So I have 2 review books actually. One only features 3 questions, not including the summary, and the second book includes 4 questions, not including the summary. So this one is gonna be taken out of the second review book that I have, so we have a special 4th question. Did you enjoy reading this book? Why or why not? I highly enjoyed reading Under the Dragon Moon. It had such good representation of different characters. It had good representation of a lesbian relationship. It had a good representation of autism. It had good representation of synesthesia, of those two working in tandem with each other, bisexuality even, and it had good trans representation, which I was very, very proud of. They had clearly done their research with every single thing, and it really showed in their writing. I also found myself relating severely to Mael especially after the memorial for Leo's sister as well as his brother-in-law Owen. There is a scene at the memorial where Mael meets an old acquaintance of his, and Barnes, the old acquaintance, ends up spitting some verbal vitriol at Mael, and the fact that Mael kept repeating it in his head was very relatable, especially for someone who struggles with self-worth. There was quite a while where I struggled with my own self-worth, and seeing a character on page struggle with the same thing, only a little bit more intense, was extremely relatable for me, and it makes me feel less alone in the world, knowing that other people, fictional or otherwise, they struggle with the same thing. There are some occasions where I do still struggle with self-worth, but it's getting easier and easier every day, knowing that I am worthy of whatever it is I have or have been doing, etc., etc. So having a relatable character like that, like Mael, is extremely important to me. Now, I actually started reading this book on April 20th, but I had finished it earlier today, which is May 28th. So it took me quite a while to actually finish it, but since I had the day off yesterday and I had gotten my allotted writing time in, I had a chance to finally finish it. So that is exactly what I did. Would I recommend this book? Absolutely. But do keep in mind that it is for adults only. It features plenty of adults in very adult situations. There is graphic sexual content. There is a succubus and an incubus. I think the incubus is mentioned, but the succubus is one of the characters, one of the supporting characters for Mael. There is mention of drug abuse and addiction. There is mention of domestic abuse. There is also a heavy cloud of grief throughout the entire book, since Leo had lost his sister and his brother-in-law and now has guardianship over his niece. He has custody of his niece and he's trying to parent her and deal with his grief at the same time, while also experiencing a wildly brand new world. There is also mention of murder, so do keep that in mind. It's not graphic, it is only mentioned in there, and there is a lot of like blood mentioned. Mael gets shot close to the end of the book, he gets his hand broken. There's a lot of like bodily injuries that happen within the book. So do keep that in mind. Do keep those trigger warnings in mind when you do pick up this book. And that is all for this video. Those were all 4 of my questions, as well as I don't want to say brief summary because it wasn't brief at all, as per my name. So that has been all 4 of my questions, as well as the rating I gave it and how long it took me to read it. I am sad that it took me this long to actually finish it because, oh my gosh, that ending was so satisfying. So, with that, I will leave you guys and I will see you guys in the next video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like my content, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye!